This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world could be so cold when my voice knows no end. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time to stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles Show. This is episode 476. My name is Daniel, and I'm the founder of Special Chronicles and a Substance Rival International Global Messenger of Special Olympics and a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador. SpecialChronicles.com. So you can go for links to follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And be sure to also subscribe and rate and review this podcast, Special Chronicles, on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to also subscribe to our channel on YouTube if you want to watch the live stream video episode and see us face to face, side by side. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Special Chronicles. And you can also sign up on newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content. Again, SpecialChronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. Our guest this week, before we bring on our guest, I want to just, if you listen to the audio podcast, go check out the live stream video on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and you will see that I am actually wearing a new ComEd EnergyForce shirt. So I thought I'd display that for the live stream of this podcast. But our guest this week on the Special Chronicles Show and our ComEd EnergyForce series is a returning guest, Jessica from Misericordia. So please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Jessica back to the Special Chronicles Show. Welcome back, Jessica. It's good to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
And so, long-time listeners will remember that I think we had you on about a year ago, right? Last spring?
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, so we'll put a link in the show notes to, because I forgot which episode number that was, but we'll put a link to if you all want to go and listen to the episode that just goes on last year. But this year, we're going to have a little bit different angle where we're going to talk a little bit about COVID and energy efficiency and how that's all related. But for any new, I'm sure we might have some new listeners out there. So introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us what disability you are diagnosed with and what organization you are with and your role at the ComEd EnergyForce Program.
My name is Jessica Frantz, and I was diagnosed with an intellectual disability. So I am associated with Misericordia, and I have been connected with ComEd through them.
Awesome. And I think what when you were on the show last year, you said that you've been involved since the EnergyForce program got started, right? 10 years. Well, now this is 11 years. So you're a legacy ambassador?
I am a legacy ambassador for ComEd EnergyForce. So I would go to different events and speak about different ways to save energy.
Awesome. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in this episode. But first, share with us the mission of Misericordia. What is the organization that you're part of all about?
The Misericordia's mission is to provide support for children and adults who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. My organization helps me become more independent and allows me to grow and help others.
Awesome. And what has as you know, for the past two years now, we've all been affected by COVID. So what has Misericordia done? How has Misericordia been affected by COVID?
So when COVID started, it affected how often I would get to see my friends and family. I would miss going out in the community and working, and staying at home for a while was a big adjustment for me and was hard to get used to. My normal routine completely changed, and that was hard for me also.
Good. And now we're slowly kind of coming out of COVID. So I'm sure things are slowly starting to kind of get back to normal a little bit. How has, well, I should say, can you share a little bit about what Misericordia has done to keep everyone, like yourself and everybody else that's a part of Misericordia, healthy and safe?
Yeah, so what we have done so far is we had a variety of Zoom opportunities to see our friends and family members when we all had to stay home. We had open air visiting with friends and family, and we always wear our masks, social distance, and have regular COVID testing.
Good. Well, we're going to get into talking about energy efficiency and a little bit more about how that is related to how saving energy is related to COVID and how we can all save a little bit, and we'll get into some of those tips after our first break. Because if it wasn't for all of our generous supporters and hopefully some of you listeners can join our supporters so we can continue to be behind the microphone. Our conversation with Jessica from Misericordia will continue after the break right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to learn how you can become a Special Chronicles supporter so we can continue to produce this podcast. Support for Special Chronicles comes from listeners like you. As an independent public media podcast, Special Chronicles will always be there for you. Now we're asking you to be there for us. As a nonprofit independent media organization, we can only make programs like Special Chronicles with listener support. Our programs provide weekly, candid, honest, and inspiring conversations about the people with disabilities community that creates awareness, support, and advocacy within each week's episode. Listeners tell us our shows are an enjoyable and necessary podcast for the intellectual and developmental disability community and everyone else who is able to listen to stories about life from a different angle. Please, if you and your family love our weekly podcast, make a one-time, monthly, or annual gift of thanks today. Support this podcast at specialchronicles.com/give. That's specialchronicles.com/give. And now, back to the show to continue the conversation today. And back to the show. Oh, I should unmute myself there. I was like, I thought I'd unmute myself. That would be helpful to unmute myself, listeners. Okay, there we go. This is episode 476. You would think after over 400 episodes, I would know what I'm doing, and I still, every once in a while, forget to unmute myself when we come out of the break. My name is Daniel, founder of Special Chronicles, and joined with Jessica from Misericordia. And let's now switch gears. Just going to talk a little bit about COVID. As you know, for the past couple of years, we've all been affected by COVID. So share with us a little bit about how has COVID affected your life over the past couple of years since, well, it all kind of, the whole world shut down in March of 2020. So 3 years ago, how has, for the past couple of years, how has COVID affected your life?
So I feel hopeful that in 2022 things will improve and begin to open a little more. It would be nice to go back to how things used to be. With things going back to normal, there is a part of me that is still nervous.
Okay, good. And how, and you share with us a little bit about how has COVID affected you over the past year? Oh, have
So when COVID started, it affected how often I would get to see friends and family.
Mhm.
I missed going out in the community and working. Staying at home for a while was a big adjustment for me and was hard to get used to. My normal routine completely changed, and that was hard for me also.
good. And how do you see 2022 as you know, we still have COVID is still around. Maybe it's a little less like we're able to do a little bit more now than when COVID was kind of high the past couple of years. But how do you see 2022 affecting your life with COVID?
So I feel hopeful that 2022 things will improve and begin to open up a little more. It would be nice to go back to the way things used to be. With things going back to normal, there is a part of me that is still a little bit nervous, but
Yeah.
I'm getting through it each day.
Yeah, that's good. Good. I know it's not easy for a lot of us, but we'll slowly kind of with friends and family and support from these different organizations, we're able to get through. And how has you want to share now a little bit about how is Misericordia been affected by COVID and what Misericordia is doing to keep everyone safe and healthy?
We had a variety of Zoom opportunities to see our friends and family members when we were all had to stay at home. We had open air visiting with friends and family. We always wore our masks, social distance, and have regular COVID testing.
Good.
But what we also did is CDS programming within our common spaces of the apartment building, which is where I live, until the CDC guidelines allowed us to return to regular programming outside of our home.
Good. And
things are slowly getting back to normal.
So now you're slowly able to kind of get back to some of that program that's outside of you. Good. And hopefully we won't go backwards in COVID. So hopefully things will now open up a little bit more and you can kind of get back to a little bit of a normal life, sort of.
Yeah. It takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
Basically, it's easier to just take one day at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's great advice that you just shared that you just shared with all of our listeners, just to take it when it comes to COVID or anything in life, just to take it one day at a time. We're going to go ahead and take another short break. When we come back from this next sponsor break, we will get to some energy efficiency tips, because with COVID, maybe some of our listeners have used a little bit more light, so energy, or with being home, and you want to kind of show, we want to share some tips on how you can be a little bit more energy efficient. So we'll get into those tips after this next break right here on the Special Chronicles show on specialchronicles.com. I guess it's Jessica, and we'll be back. Yep. And hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break from our conversation today to hear a message from our partner. Support for Special Chronicles comes from ComEd. Special Chronicles is proud to partner with the ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador Program. The EnergyForce is the country's first energy efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. ComEd is powering lives and really is powering us here at Special Chronicles to keep the lights on and our technology is powered on. As ComEd powers the lives of us, they're literally giving a voice to people with special needs. We thank ComEd for the generous support of our mission at Special Chronicles. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. That's specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And now we return to our conversation this episode continues right. This is episode 476, and after that break, I remember to unmute myself. So things are improving on this episode, and even speaking of things are improving, things are improving with COVID as well. And so now, Jessica, as you know, and I'm sure as a lot of our listeners know, over the past year, the economy has affected everyone. Inflation is the highest in history, which means that everything we buy costs more money. A lot of people are home and we're using more energy. And so while people are not making more money, and nonprofit organizations are struggling getting more donations, as people have less money to donate. So all high inflation has caused energy cost and even energy usage to go up for everyone. So this is the segment. This is the part of the program today where we'll have a chance to share with our listeners about some energy efficiency tips. So first, before we get into those tips, have you share, Jessica, with our listeners, what can we do, you and I and the other ComEd EnergyForce ambassadors, do to help everyone control their energy costs?
We can share our ideas and tips with them on ways to save energy. For example, using a power strip instead of an outlet for their electronics. Daylight savings time helps reduce energy use, and spending more time outdoors and using solar panels.
So I am for those that just listen to the audio podcast, go check out the live stream video on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, and you'll see on the screen, one of the images on the screen is a power strip, right? That's one of the power strips that our listeners can use, right?
That's right.
And then also, what our listeners will see on the screen is there's a energy efficient light bulb, right? You want to tell our listeners about that?
So there are two kinds of light bulbs that we're supposed to use. One's called an LED light, and so that definitely helps reduce energy costs and also saves energy. And then the other one's called the CFL, which also helps save energy.
Good. I almost lost my train of thought there. Let's circle back here. Okay. Do you feel like we might, let's circle back to that in a little bit, but since we're kind of on this energy efficiency tip, since we shared some tips about the light bulb and the energy efficient power strip, you want to share some other ComEd energy efficiency and solar tips with the listeners? What are some other tips that our listeners can do to save energy? And
well, so what I learned the other day was that with daylight savings time, it helps to reduce energy. So the more time people spend outdoors and have fun, the more they're using less energy. And so with using a power strip, they don't have to use an outlet or an extension cord. They could just turn everything off by using one switch. But they also have to remember that before they go outside, they have to make sure they turn their lights off and they're not using them.
Yeah, good tip. Yeah, we want to turn the lights off. And even I would maybe add to what you're saying is, even when you leave a room, if you're not in a room and the lights are on, then you probably should also turn those lights off, right?
That's right. Or have a timer that automatically turns them off
when you leave
at
a certain time. Yeah, absolutely. And I think even like when it comes to like the heating and when you heat or with the air conditioning, you can probably also set that on a timer, right, to like on a certain level. Do you feel we might be able to go back to in-person events this year with ComEd EnergyForce, or continue with like these digital engagements, like what we're doing on this podcast right now, and share some of your ideas with that?
Well, I hope that we are able to do in-person events this year and for many years to come.
Mhm.
I miss the face-to-face aspect of things, but for now, I can share ComEd Energy efficiency tips through videos and post online, and we have used Microsoft Teams for to virtually share tips as well.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's a lot of some excellent ways that of how we'll, even if we're able to come back to some in-person events, but still have those digital engagements through either social media posts or through podcasts like what we're doing right now. We're going to go ahead and take one final break. Speaking of, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts as we wrap up this episode. But speaking of, and we've got a final question that we always conclude these conversations with. So that is coming up after this final sponsor break. Speaking, we shared some energy efficiency tips. Jessica, you shared some energy efficiency tips. I shared some, but in this final sponsor break, instead of trying to sell you something, listeners, we're going to share some more energy efficiency tips in this final sponsor break. So Gus is Jessica from Misericordia, and we'll be back with some final thoughts as we wrap up this episode right here on SpecialChronicles.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Lisa Noble, and I'm a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador and an athlete with Special Olympics Illinois.
Hi, my name is Daniel Spakowski, and I also am a ComEd EnergyForce Ambassador and founder of a company called Special Chronicles.
The ComEd EnergyForce Program is a program that hires people with disabilities to teach the public how to save energy and money.
It's the country's first energy efficiency program of its kind.
Saving energy is especially important while everyone is at home due to COVID-19. We're using more electricity than ever before. Just think about how many more times you are opening the refrigerator door these days.
And while the economy is stressed, it's more critical than ever to save money where we can. Following these tips can save energy and money in this time of COVID-19.
Wash your clothes in cold water and use the dryer sparingly.
Your dryer can take up to 7 times more energy than the washer.
Turn off and unplug any electrical devices or power strips you are not using.
Electrical devices can continue to zap power even when turned off if they're still plugged in. We call them vampire devices.
Use LED bulbs.
They use 25% less energy than incandescent bulbs and last up to 25 times longer, saving you lots of money over time.
Keep your refrigerator between 35 and 38 degrees.
And be sure to use Energy Star appliances.
And last but not least, check out ComEd.com/home savings for more tips and rebates.
Lisa and I would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to us today.
Remember, we are all in this together.
Stay healthy.
And stay safe.
Bye.
We're back. This is episode 476. Our guest is Jessica from Misericordia. I'm Daniel, founder of Special Chronicles. And so now, Jessica, you want to share with our listeners a little bit about what are your thoughts on how ComEd gets organizations and individuals with disabilities involved as ComEd EnergyForce ambassadors in our community? What do you think of how ComEd is doing?
Well, I feel happy that I am learning a lot and I am given the opportunity to help others learn about energy efficiency. So being a ComEd Legacy Ambassador, it taught me how to work with others, be more independent, and speak confidently in bigger groups.
Good. And is there anything else that ComEd can do to help those of us with special needs?
Well, I think besides including organizations like Misericordia and individuals with disabilities as ambassadors, we could also have our ambassadors speak to classrooms and daily programs at the organizations. But I think it would be beneficial to teach everyone how to save energy.
Awesome. And so I'm sure we'll be continuing that for many years to come as ComEd continues to partner with organizations such as Misericordia, such as Special Chronicles, and all the other ones. Before we get to that final question and some plugs of how people can get in touch with us, you have any final thoughts on your time here today? This is now your second time on the Special Chronicles show. But do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
What I want to say is thank you for inviting me back again and let me be a part of this podcast. I have enjoyed being part of this experience and sharing my thoughts and ideas with you. I would also like to thank ComEd for giving me so many opportunities.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're honored that you all agreed to come on this podcast again, and you're always welcome to come back on the podcast anytime. And so for a few plugs, if people want to learn more about Misericordia, they can go to misericordia.com, right? MISERICORDI.
DIA. Yep.
Okay, so
they can always check, they can always check out misericordia.com, which is our website, so definitely feel free to check it out. And also please visit specialchronicles.com/ComEd to learn more about our partner ComEd's EnergyForce Ambassador Program.
Yep. Thanks. Specialchronicles.com/ComEd. If you guys want to learn more about the ComEd EnergyForce Program, we have links in there of how you can all learn more. And we'll put all those links in the show notes on specialchronicles.com. ComEd.com/EnergyForce is directly to ComEd if you want to learn more about the program. And if you want to listen to other episodes with other ambassadors, and I think we've had on a couple ComEd staff on as well. You can find our entire EnergyForce podcast series on this podcast on specialchronicles.com/EnergyForce. That's specialchronicles.com/EnergyForce to find all of those episodes with other ambassadors. So to make it really easy for you all, instead of going and searching through the over 400 episodes of the Special Chronicles show, you can just go directly to specialchronicles.com/EnergyForce to listen to any of those past episodes with other ambassadors or staff. With that, we've got a final question we always conclude these conversations with, and I think, Jessica, we probably asked you this last year as well, but I forgot exactly. But we'll ask you right now as well, and so let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference. Our demands are
equality,
dignity,
and the recognition of our
shared humanity.
We will not stop or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
And as you could tell, ever since I came back from the Abu Dhabi World Games, Special Olympics back in 2019, I've been concluding all these podcasts, all these conversations with a final question talking about inclusion, because as you know, inclusion is a big part of Special Chronicles, big part of Special Olympics, and a lot of these organizations. I know ComEd EnergyForce Program is including us, including people like you and myself and the other ambassadors. So we'll conclude with you as well. Jessica, you share with us, what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means to come together as one and to be able to help others understand things. No matter who we are, everyone should feel welcome.
That's a perfect way to conclude this conversation. It's been a joy to have you on the show, Jessica. I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast again. And for those of you listening, you can again visit specialchronicles.com for links to subscribe and follow. And remember to also please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, because it goes a long way in letting more people know about this show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and subscribe to our newsletter, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and they can find and if you sign up on newsletter, you will receive exclusive bonus content. So you can find all those links to subscribe and follow us on specialchronicles.com. We'll see you next week with another ComEd EnergyForce ambassador, because we have all through April and May, and the beginning of June, we will be continuing our EnergyForce series, conversations with other ComEd EnergyForce ambassadors right here on this podcast, the Special Chronicles show. My name is Daniel. I'm the founder of Special Chronicles, and we'll see you next week right here on specialchronicles.com. So until then, have a great week. See you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles Shows podcast. Visit specialchronicles.com to follow Special Chronicles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. Also, subscribe to our newsletter mailing list to sign up for our updates and get exclusive content delivered to your inbox. Remember to do what you do with these podcasts: subscribe or follow and rate and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts. Finally, please share this episode and all of our podcasts with your friends and family. Help us grow our audience and reach 5,000 downloads of our audio podcasts and over 14,000 average monthly listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week with exciting new guests. See you next week.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.